Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So my mead is ready, you guys. And unlike beer, you can carbonate mead, but that's easier if you have a CO2 system, which I don't. I'm just bottling. I have tried using priming sugar before, but it didn't really work. So I'm just making still mead. And if you follow me, you'll know that I used a honey called Metafoam from the Pacific Northwest here in the US. But the cool thing about Metafoam is it tastes like marshmallows and vanilla. It's really, really good. I'm going to siphon off one bottle because it'll do 7 pints, so 7 bottles. And I'm going to siphon off one bottle and let's try it and see where we think that sweetness is, because I did save about a half a bottle of honey to back sweeten it. Which you can do with your mead if you want it to be a little sweeter. And I'm thinking with this marshmallow vanilla taste, I don't want it to be a real dry mead. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to back sweeten it, but I do want to taste it first. All right, let's pop this airlock off of there. Let's see what we got. Smells really good. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to siphon it into a secondary. I want to get it off that yeast in case I do decide to back sweeten it. Wow, that was close. Okay, so there it is. It's really light in color. Not sure about that, but we'll see. I am going to siphon, like I said, one bottle, 1 pint of it without back sweetening it. Then I can make my decision. Actually, I don't think I'll do a full bottle because in case I want to back sweeten it, I can have more of it back sweetened. So, all right, so let's do something like that. I'm just going to cap this off and sanitize something to cap it off with while I make my decision. I might run it over to Grimm Brothers and have my buddy sample it with me. We'll see. Let's pop it over. The question is to back sweeten or not back sweeten. You guys have met Guy McConnell before, my friend here in the tap room at Grimm Brothers Brew House. So this, of course, is the Metafoam mead. Just seeing if I want to back sweeten it with some honey. It's really clear, and you were saying it doesn't necessarily matter, right? I mean, it depends on the honey.
The honey color.
And you guys, if you remember, the Metafoam honey should be usually like a marshmallow vanilla-y. Smells good. I don't get it.
I would definitely back sweeten.
Yeah, I don't get it at all.
It's still young. I taste nutrients and yeast a little bit in there too. So
yeah. So back sweeten and then let it go to sleep in the bottles for another month or something?
Well, if you leave it in there, it may carbonate. So
I was worried about that too. If I had honey.
Yeah. So
if you want to pop my bottles open?
Well, if you want it carbonated, then I would check it from time to time and let it sit. Or if you don't want it carbonated, you should put it somewhere cold once you put the honey in there. Time will be its friend.
I would like it to carbonated, but it's a little tricky in the bottles. I don't want my bottles to explode.
Kristen, Devin's friend Kristen, that moved to Virginia, bottled a batch that she made in October. She opened one of them yesterday, day before, sent me a video, and it popped and was foamy and fizzy. She's like asking me, "How did it get bubbly? Will that go away?" I said, "No, it's not going to go away."
You're adding sugar, so
yeah.
You know, I was wondering. I was going to ask you about that.
Well, today. She didn't used to back sweeten hers. So the last one she made, she didn't back sweeten. So this one she did.
Right.
I said, "Yeah, you added sugar, and even though you don't think you see any yeast,
right?
There's still yeast in suspension." So.
But if I back sweeten it and put it in the fridge, I mean, it's possible it'll get that flavor eventually.
You can leave it out for a couple days or something like that if you want, but I mean, it doesn't hurt to put it in the put it in the fridge. But back sweetening with the same honey will give it some more of that characteristic, and then it'll smooth and mellow.
So maybe eventually, because I don't mind just putting it away for a while. That's why I want to test
it's pretty dry.
So, it doesn't taste like anything to me. Like, it's just. Yeah,
it's pretty dry, so I would definitely back sweeten.
Yeah. Well, hey, live and learn, right? But maybe if I just let it go, it'll be good.
Yep.
Cool. So it's been a couple days later. So the final result after Guy and I tasted it, we talked a lot about different ways of how to proceed with my Metafoam mead. Yeah, so it was definitely way too young. It's fermented all the way out, which is fine to do, with mead, then you back sweeten it, so that's fine. It's just too early. But I got to thinking, I really do prefer carbonated mead. Used to when I would hook up the CO2 tank to it, that was easy to do. The concern with doing it in the bottles with mead is it's not an exact science. You add more honey when you back sweeten it, so that's going to supply more sugars for the yeast to keep fermenting a little bit, possibly. Even though it was fermented out, there's always going to be those little yeasties floating around in there still. But if I can manage that, that'll be great, because then it'll be carbonated. So I ended up going ahead and bottling them all instead of cold crashing them to stop that yeast productivity. I've sealed them in a bucket, which I'll show you here in a second. And I think what I'm going to do is, like, after a week, I'm going to pop one open and see if I hear any fizz. If it's a huge fizz, which it probably won't be, I'm thinking probably a couple weeks before I hear that. But I'm just going to check them. So if, once I kind of get to that huge fizz kind of sound, then I'll cold crash them so they stop and don't explode in the bottles. They might not explode anyways, but it's not an exact science. I just kind of put the rest of that honey in there. I tasted it, I ended up putting all of that honey in there. There was like a half bottle left in there of that honey, and I kept tasting it as I was back sweetening it, but I liked it with all of that in there. So who knows? Who knows how much yeast was still active or floating around in there or not. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So I'll check it in a week. Maybe I'll video that and you guys can listen to it pop open. It needs more time to condition. I'll taste it in a week and see what we're going there. But when I do my final tasting, when I think it's actually really ready, I have something that's going to be maybe kind of fun for that video. It's going to be a collaboration. You'll just have to wait and see who that collaboration is going to be with. I think some of you may know this person. So anyways, mead will be ready when it's ready. All right. Thanks for watching, you guys. Hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Cheers.